Good morning, everybody. Orange A here with another War of the Visions video, and today we're going to do another unit guide / showcase for Snow, an older Final Fantasy 13 unit that we've had in the game for a while. However, a couple months ago, he got his 140 upgrade, and then just a couple days ago, he got his newest round of upgrades with his limit break. So does this catapult him back into relevance or top tier? We're going to look at that all today, and let's start by looking at his upgrade that he just got. It's his limit break upgrade. Now look, as far as upgrades go, this is top tier. Like, this skill went from already being pretty good because it did a lot of damage, it could stun, it hit in a small AoE. Like, that's pretty good. Stunning the enemy, OP. Like, having them miss a turn is really nice, but it's way better now. First of all, the AP cost went down 10. The AoE is now a square instead of a short little line. It now decreases strike resist for the targets, gives him regenerate, turns off dispel courage from the enemy team, does not let them dispel courage, and courage is a big deal for him, and decreases his AP consumption. Like, oh my gosh, this skill does a lot of things, and that's really important for Snow because he sort of lacked, he lacks some skills that do a lot of things, right? Think about modern units in the game. They often have these group buffs that like give AoE resist or single target resist or agility, attack, shell, protect, and debuff weakening, or all of these things stacked on top of each other. And then you look at Snow's TP moves and he doesn't have that. Like, he has triple guard, which is just bad. It's defense, spirit, defense, debuff resist, like very not modern day. His courage buff is only courage, and that's not good because most courage buffs these days give you something else. If it's just a little more AP back, maybe it's like agility up. You need something else on top of your courage. He just has the courage buff. And then his bread and butter buff is once again self only. So he's very selfish, right? His buffs are all about himself. It's good. It's strike attack 25, it's AoE resist 20, and it's a heal when his HP drops below 20%, and debuff effect weakening. Here's the deal, right? His combo was always drop this buff on yourself, make sure you have your courage up, and then when somebody kills you, you go to 1 HP, you self-heal way back up, or you've already self-healed, now you're at 1 HP. Either way, this and courage play really well together. Back in the day, that was borderline unstoppable. Today, there's so much courage removal in the game, adding the courage removal to his limit break means this is something you need to prioritize him casting. In fact, I would say if there's any move in the game that's going to do more damage than this, turn it off, because he needs to do this. Luckily, they thought about that and put the strike resistance pre-damage. So their thought is by lowering strike resist on the enemy, it will encourage the AI to use the limit break, where instead maybe it would have used this 210% modifier move that did all the debuffs. You still want him using this move, but you want him limit breaking. It's a very important deal for Snow to be limit breaking. Okay, what else does he do? What else does this kit have in it? Well, strike damage, which is still pretty good. And then he has guaranteed hit. He has all those self buffs. His sub jobs are pretty terrible. Like, I think you just stick with Indomitable Hero for that single target resist debuff, but it's after the damage, which feels kind of bad. Otherwise, you do have Demon Purger and Pugilist for a little bit harder hitting strike move, but you wouldn't want to use that instead of the limit break. Ninja gives you kind of nothing. I mean, you have Shadowbind, maybe you land a stop, but it's 175 mod, it's slashing. When are you going to use that? His sub jobs are pretty bad. So overall, I would grade his kit when it came out as 90 to 100 cost. But the question is it still worthy of being a 90 cost unit in today's game? Well, let's talk about how you would build this guy out. And we'll start doing that by looking at the job-based VCs for Strike. Now, Strike is famously one of the strongest job-based teams in the game. However, I would not call Snow one of the strongest characters on this. In fact, I would say Alaya, Perrine, 2P, both the Edward and Alphonse Elric brothers are stronger than him, and he might be the best of the remaining bunch, but these are all superior Strike units in my opinion, and one of them is a take just like him. So why would you use him over these units? Well, that's a good question. Maybe his limit break upgrade made him better than them, but in my opinion, again, I value all of them a little bit higher. Still, this job does have a really, really good vision card. And again, we're back to one of the biggest mistakes I ever made on my account, which was thinking I had enough shards to build this before the event was over. Then I went to build it later, didn't have the shards. That's a big oopsie. This thing's insane. It gives agility and single target resist to the job. So if you're trying to play a strike team, I think you obviously build around this vision card here, whether using snow or any of the other strike units in here. If you're trying to make use of this vision card in a mono ice team, it's not the greatest look ever. And this is definitely a drawback for him. Like if you want to play mono ice, but take advantage of believers in the bonds of brotherhood, you got snow, and then you're like, I mean, I like Ice Jaden okay, RNA is decent, Victoria, I mean, in cost limited maybe, McLeod's pretty good in cost limited. These are very low cost units. There's nothing overwhelmingly great in ice on this vision card, so it'd be hard to build a mono ice team around that. I do think you hold that against him, so this would be restricted to a strike team, I think, if you were trying to play snow there. Otherwise, you look, there are some AoE resistant agility cards on here that are pretty good. This one is a great example of one you could use on a mono ice team. There are good ice units on this card. You get 24% AoE resist, which is awesome. You have Howlet, Reagan, who are decent units, especially Howlet. Velis is still a good support. If you wanted to go the support tank combo, you could definitely work in Seaside Showdown if you had that built up. Your other like agility options, you're looking at this card right here from the A Fearsome Foe Appears. This will give you 15% agility, but once again, you're not building a mono ice team around this. So this is more restricted to a strike based team, and that's kind of the story of a lot of these cards. Here's an AoE resist card, your ice squad here. Again, like at least you have Grifford on here. I think that's really nice. You could put like a Grifford and a Jaden and a Snow together, but your toppest of tier ice units just not appearing on there. So really, if you're mix and matching these, again, go for your unit resist, single target resist, AoE resist, or yeah, I said one of those things twice. Anyway, build around this card and then find AoE resist somewhere else if you're building a strike team. If you're trying to build a mono ice team, I like trying to build around this card if you have it, or working in another AoE resist card. Speaking of cards, let's go ahead and quickly look at the vision card options for mono ice. What cards are you going to want to work in? I definitely like Dark Shiva as an agility option right here. It does scale off of magic and gives magic to your group, so you'll be sticking this on a magic scaling unit, maybe a Velis, maybe a Howlet the Heavens Blade, something like that. So this is a very, very powerful vision card, especially for that unit you're going to put this on. Then you have Dark Odin. If you have this, you probably want to work that in. There's your single target resistance if you haven't found that yet. Plus it gives attack and HP, which are two things Snow is really going to like. You want this guy not only being tanky, but for him to fulfill his role in the game, he needs to also do above tank level damage. Maybe not your main carry level, but he needs to be doing better than tank level damage. This will help him do all of his job. Here's Dark Golem. If you don't have the AoE resist card we talked about earlier, you can do this. This is purely a tank based card. It's probably more for Earth, right? Because you get that mono Earth unit effect on there. Still, it is a good AoE resist option. You have Maniple as an AoE resist option. This is a Final Fantasy collaboration card. It's an AoE resist, pierce attack, critical hit rate. This came with like Aranea, I believe. Then Laswell's card for agility on here. This gives you acquired AP and human killer physical. This is a DPS card, and it will go very well on a carry in your group if you want to work it in for one of those running along Snow. I also want to mention this as a single target resist option. This gives accuracy to your group. There are some really annoying quasi evade teams running around out there, as there basically always has been in War of the Visions. If you are forced to go rainbow single target resist, at least if you're running an ice party, you also get 25 accuracy. Realm Reaver Odin is a very good vision card, and it's especially very good on an ice team. After that, you do have Snow's card, but I don't know that this is one you go get, right? Unless you are specifically building to fight wind. It gives defense pin, which that's really nice on a vision card, but nothing on here is one of those like top 3 vision card in the game kind of situations. However, for Snow himself, himself, I do feel like this card is important. If you can work this in on him, he gets single target and AoE resist. He also gets healing power up, which again, that's a big deal for him, and he gets HP. So it will make him a lot tankier with the unit effects, and then the party effects will help him and the rest of the group do damage. So even though you're losing out on one of the big 3 party buffs, he gets both. He gets 2 out of the 3 himself, and then you would just have to piece that together with the rest of your mono ice group. Otherwise, that's basically it. Like, that's what you're looking at for vision cards. I will use this on him, I think, in my build, just to try to make him tankier and amplify his damage and amplify his healing. This guy is big on self-healing. With that in mind, who are you looking to run him with? Well, Snow has a lot of AoE resist, and he can buff his own AoE resist right here. So you don't necessarily want him running with somebody who's going to look to buff his AoE resist. So look for other buffs. Also, I want to mention again real quick, let's jump back here, that you have these two. If you're trying to use AoE resist, the 24 AoE resist from Seaside Showdown, these are the 2, I would say, top tierest units on this card. So I'm going to look at them for potential, group buffing options. So let's see how they go together. We'll start with Reagan. What kind of buffs does Reagan bring? First of all, he's a physical damage carry, which you do like that. You do want some carries on your Snow team. His group buff is ice resist, wind resist, dark resist, AoE resist for himself. So this is a very interesting combo. You love this wind, dark, and ice resist. You will find these elements out there in the game, and so this is a nice buff to put on Snow. And since the AoE resist is just for Reagan, they've kind of both covered each other's weakness a little bit right there. They both buff their own AoE resist and then just say, you know, to hell with my teammates, we're just going to let that be the case. Another nice little synergy with Reagan and Snow is Reagan has courage. Now his courage, like most modern courages in the game, has more stuff that it does for him, but Snow's ability to seal courage removal will help Reagan out a lot, and that's a nice little combo. It's a nice little pairing, especially if you want to take advantage of Seaside Showdown. Howl the Heavens Blade, another unit on the Seaside Showdown, is a magic scaling option for the group, which is important because there's some good magic scaling ice VCs if you're building into mono ice. For Howl the Heavens Blade's buffs that he brings to the group, he brings absorb damage or reduce damage taken for self, absorb damage taken for allies. This is really good for Snow. A big part of Snow is boost his healing power and heal yourself. Having absorb damage from Howlet seems like a really good thing, and so I'm definitely going to work Howlet in to my party. In fact, I will probably use Reagan Howlet just for the funs of it, right? Because this absorb damage buff is just going to be sweet. Now, he does not have courage. Like, that is one thing that he doesn't give himself, so he won't take full advantage of that like Reagan will, but still Howlet a good option here for that absorb damage. And then I do want to mention A2. A2 is just a dang good unit. So if you're forgetting, if you're just like, look, I'm building mono ice, I don't care about job vision card synergy because these two aren't together on a ton of good ones, you could just run her for your carry and then work in like a support or another damage dealer, something like that. So there's that. So keep all that in mind. Now let's jump into the team builder and actually throw a team together. All right, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to go Snow, and then I'm going to run the combo I kind of talked about. I'm going to run Reagan, and I'm going to run Howl the Heavens Blade. So there's my 3. I would like for these units to gather around Snow and buff him. So let's see if we can make that happen by putting Snow in the middle. We'll have to see if these units like have the movement. Again, it'll depend on the map you're on, all of that. As far as espers go for Snow, here's what you're looking for. You're looking for Ice Attack, you're looking for Strike Attack, you're looking for Human Killer, you're looking for attack up, or you're looking for a card that makes him tankier through like AoE resist, single target resist, something like that. I'm gonna start with Odin. Now, I will say Dark Shiva is a good magic scaling ice vision card, but you're not gonna run that on him because it's ice. I really just think Odin's about as good as it gets for Snow, and since he's not a particularly fast unit otherwise, like even with Odin on him, he's still only at 91, which is not a ton, and we'll see what he gets to when we throw the VCs. In fact, without Odin on, let's see where he stands next. Let me make sure I have trust zones on all these guys. Okay, there we go. Turns out I didn't have trust zones on Reagan, so now I do. Anyway, Reagan walks in at 67 agility, so that's not very fast. Snow walks in at 71. So Snow actually faster than Reagan, and Howlett the Heavenblade walks in at 67. So Snow actually my speediest unit, but I have Shadowrunner on him. So if we go look at Snow again real quick and look at his, support abilities, which ones do we want to run? I think you have to run Hero's Fate. It kind of makes him the tank that he is by giving him that 5 initial aggro. I've always liked Shadowrunner to give him that 12% agility, but for the sake of this squad and for the sake of wanting him to be wanting him to receive the buffs, I might just give him HP and attack up for himself and then let him run that. Like maybe run Warrior Spirit. This is definitely his support and counter moves definitely feel a little bit dated. This is a weakness of his kit. So let's go Hero's Fate and then let's go Warrior Spirit. Get a little more HP on him. But we dropped a 64 starting agility, which is slow. So we'll cover that with Odin. There we go. Now he gets that accuracy from Odin. He doesn't necessarily need it. He has guaranteed hit, but he gets that human killer, which should help him out. And the speed from Odin now puts him at 84. Okay, for Howlett, we're going to use Dark Shiva because she's our magic scaling, goddess. And then for Reagan here, let's throw onto Reagan something like Dark Odin. Again, it's pretty fast. Let's check our speeds now. 86 there, 84 there, and with Reagan, we're at 85. So that's nice. Buff himself and move forward. That's kind of the turn order I'm looking for here. Now, Seaside Showdown is an AoE resist buff. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that. There it is. Give me that 24% AoE resist, acquired AP, debuff reduction. Okay, we'll throw that on. For Snow, I'm going to now switch my filter to Ice. So let's take Monk off. Let's switch to Ice. I'm going to run Snow's Vision card on him. Let's give him the truest test of him and his ultimate power, not necessarily the other units. This will definitely help Reagan do damage with that defense pin, but there's Snow getting a lot of AoE and single target resist for himself. And you can see already with the AoE resist Vision card and his own VC equipped, he's at 44, pre-receiving his own self buff, which will help a lot. And then for Howlett, we need agility. This group's got to have agility, which means what do? I could go here for unit attack resist, but man, I'm losing out on that agility. So I go for Shiva, which is the magic scaling card. It's going to give, gives about everything you want right here. Agility, critical evade, magic up for Howlett. You love to see that. So let's recheck our agilities now. We're at 94 for Reagan. We are at 92 for Snow, which is perfect. And we're at 94 for Howlett. Awesome. So these two are 2 agility faster than him. That's great. Now, I definitely want to work in another agility card because this group is still really slow. So let's work in Laswell's card right here. It's an attack scaling card, acquired AP up, Maneater physical. You're going to love that card for this group. For Howlett, let's see, we have agility, we need AoE resist, and we need single target resist again if we can find it. Here's a magic scaling AoE resist card. We'll go ahead and do that. A little more defense for the team's not a bad thing either. Alternatively, we could look for more damage here. Something like you could look for freezies maybe. This is ice attack, critical damage, max HP. In fact, I think I like that more. Let's get a little bit more HP instead of just a slight bit more AoE resist. And then I'm going to work in Dark Odin. This card's insane. We'll work it in right there. Although that gives max HP as well, which doesn't scale nicely or doesn't line up with freezies. So let's drop freezies for the AoE resist 6. That's fine. That's a good vision card setup. We're addressing the agility. We're heavily addressing the agility. In fact, we got Snow all the way up to 98, and we've got our carries. 98 for Reagan. I'm gonna have to slow Snow down a little bit. Now, one of the things about this group, I'm gonna try to give Howlett a 2 buff rotation. But my 2 buff rotation for Howlett is going to include, let me sort by agility here. It's going to include a single target resist buff from Holy Knight's Steeple. This will cover a weakness in Snow. He can buff his AoE resist, but no one in this group can buff single target resist, except for now Howlett can with the Fairy Guard buff. So this will give unit resist to him and Snow. I love seeing that right there. Puts his agility at 109 pre any other gear. For Snow himself, I want to just agility tune with his Trustmaster, or you have another option with him that I think is interesting. I'm going to, this might be kind of silly because I have 2 options here. Let me show you what I'm looking at. If you go for a weapon, right, you could go for a strike attack up. Oh, hiccup, excuse me. You can go for a strike attack up weapon if you want. You have Tiger Fangs, which does give you AoE resist for the first 3 turns of battle. I like that a lot on him. Or if you want to run a TMR weapon, on him, like right here. This will keep him a little bit slower if you need to. And then you can do your single target resist right here from a survival vest, and then find AoE resist from, I'll sort by agility again, from our new pod 42+5. I think a lot of people will be sitting on this right now in the game. That'll put you at 107 agility and then put your resist at 33 and 58 pre-buff. That's pretty good, and it's going to make him pretty tanky. Plus he's got 1300 attack, 12.6k HP. There's obviously no reincarnations on this guy for me, and you're sitting not too bad right there. Just make sure you have reprieve turned on, you have close call turned on. Those are the two buffs you kind of have to get off for him, and then you might be in business. So let's see where that's at 107. Let's run this for now. Tiger Fang's okay. It gives you those first few turns of AoE resist, but let's get AoE resist for the full fight like that. Now Howlett is at 109. He's already faster, so we don't need any more agility with the rest of his gear. We can just go ahead and give him his weapon with that slash attack pin on it. There we go. And then we will give him a piece of armor as well. Or we could make him, we could go like hard carry mode with him. Since he's giving himself a, let's give him Genji Glove just for fun here. Let's do a little Genji Glove action. And then for Reagan, Reagan's gonna bring the group buff and his own courage, so I don't need him doing another buff. I can save the Trustmaster on Reagan strictly for agility tuning. So let's give Reagan Blood Sword +1. That'll give him a little self-healing, which makes us a very self-healing focused group. I'll give him a little more unit resist as well. And then for his Trustmaster, where are we at with agility on you, Reagan? We're at 98. I need you to be north of 107. So you need about 9 agility. We can find that. Let's sort by agility. We'll give you 11 or we'll give you 10. I'm going to turn the buffs off either way. Let's give you the hairpin. That puts you at 112. That's a little too much. Let's do maybe Tiara. That puts you at 110. So if we do Tiara, I got to make sure that's turned up. I don't want you casting Dragon's Bloodline, sir. It's not the worst TMR ever. Nullifying those status effects is a big deal. But now let's check our agilities again. We're at 110 here. We are at 109 here. So we'll go Reagan, Howlett, and then we should be about 108, 107. That's pretty good agility tuning just on the fly. Let's make sure our buffs that we want are on. So Howlett has his buff on, and then I want him also giving this buff. So here's both the buffs I want Howlett casting. I hope, what I'm counting on is that he will be able to hit Snow with the TMR buff and then hit him again with the group buff. I kind of need him to do that. We'll see how that works out. That could be iffy, but this, okay, let's jump in there and let me make sure Reagan has his group buffs on as well. So sometimes you turn these things off for, you know, PvE. He does. So we got all the buffs we want turned on. We should be good to go. Let's jump into arena and see how this plays out. Okay, we found a wind team. One thing we will be good against is wind. And I know I always mention this in these kind of videos where people are like, yeah, you're fighting wind with ice. You had better wind. You better, but it's not a guarantee. Like, I'm definitely not running top tier meta units right here. I mean, maybe a lot of people, including myself, consider Howlett the Heavens Blade in that like second to the top tier or approaching the top tier level, but Reagan's not up there. And Snow, we're just trying to see how legit Snow is these days. So this is not a guaranteed win against what are some really good, really strong win units with Flagbear, Glassy, Sottily, and Zidane. So it's like really 3 legit win units versus my ice team right here. What are we looking for? Like, what do we want to see Snow do in this fight? Because we're going to see Howlett, we're going to see Reagan probably putting out some damage. We want to see them buffing Snow, but Snow is really what this is about. We want to see him landing his limit break with courage on himself and at least one of his allies, protecting that courage for them. Then I want to see him be hard to kill and do a lot of damage. So the unit there, the enemy is going to start grouping up and buffing, and we will follow suit. Man, that's a lot of good group buffing for them. A very similar start, like their formation, their startup is the exact same as ours. There's Mandate of the Heavens. Oh, so that's interesting. Howlett actually prioritized Mandate of the Heavens over the single target resist buff, which might be an issue. We might have to switch Howlett and Reagan's positioning. If Howlett goes for a second round of that. No, he does the Fairy Guard decks. That's what I wanted. So it's actually fine so far. Reagan is going to go leave this to me. He rebuffs that. Ooh, you hate to see that. That's no good. There's Smite coming out from Snow, and he heals himself. So that healing, that was a significant little heal he just gave himself. Like, what, 1,500 HP? You're going to like that. Now, he's going to get charmed here, maybe. We'll see. Subtly dropping the limit break. That's a charm. That could sort of ruin what we're looking for here, but maybe Flagbearer Glassy will hook us up by breaking the charm if we don't kill her with this next attack. We do not kill her with that attack. She does hook us up by breaking the charm. And man, these people cannot hurt us. Like, the elemental advantage plus proper building is doing some work. Now, that's what I want to see from Snow. That's what I wanted to see with that Snow plus the HP recovery combo right there from Howlet. He's not only tough to kill, he is healing up any damage the enemy is doing to him. All right, Snow, one more attack. You only have 14 HP right there, or AP, so all he could do was the auto. Here comes Solution 9, so trance mode right here from Zidane. We'll see what kind of damage this does. Not a ton. The follow-up attack also not doing much. Howlet and Reagan can't find him. They can't get into range to actually hit him, which is just awkward. He's gonna Punishing Blade them. Not a ton of damage right there. He'll follow up them both. It is what it is. Snow's gonna ravage them. That's decent damage. No crit, which feels bad. Let's see, Howlet. What could you do? Heavenly Diffusion. That'll take him down. Almost. This will kill him. As your Blade Strike. It's 2 swords, 2 elements. That's a win. So, okay. That went pretty good. What I didn't like was Reagan's buff rotation, but I don't know that there's a way around that. That's just probably a drawback to Reagan's AI. Unless, did Snow get dispelled? If Snow got dispelled and that's why Reagan rebuffed him, then it's fine. Then I'm all about it. If that's not the case, I don't know. Okay, this is probably a mage team. Yeah, this is like the meta mage team right here. Let's see how we do against this. So we can handle ice. We handled ice no problem, and our build was pretty good. I don't think there's anything I need to turn on or off. One thing that hurt us is I don't believe Snow got his courage turned on, so we might want to shorten his attack range. That could be something, an adjustment we make for a third fight, if we decide to do a third fight in this video, is lower his effective attack range so he'll get his courage buff online. In fact, I would say if he has any kind of DPS move that outranges his limit break and it's not important for his kit, like it's not giving him, guaranteed hit or something like that, you probably do want to turn that off. So we'll think about that here in a minute. Now, Vivi's going to start with haste. That's interesting, watching Vivi haste himself instead of group buffing. We'll see how this works out. Reagan's going to go, then we're going to get Howlet. Reagan does his buff that we want. There's Mandate from Howlet. There's that HP absorb. That's so nice. That is just such I love that combo with Snow, in fact. I think that's a pairing that is just made in heaven if you're running mono ice. Here's Fairy Guard. So yeah, the buff rotation, especially from Howlet, is on full force. And he must have got dispelled because that time Reagan did Beach Guard on himself. So we need to go make sure Beach Guard is what we want him doing next. I don't know that it is. Launch. Okay, we probably need to just turn launch off. There's double Darka. We tanked that okay. Like, honestly, for eating the long range magic attack move right there, especially Howlet, who has not buffed his AoE resist, we did okay with that. And Howlet, as long as he doesn't die, can really heal himself up. And we cut Roth down. She'll revive. And now we're in danger because they're all going to get to hit us as many times as, they're going to get to just unload on us right here. And Snow does not have his courage. And he didn't limit break to serve eliminate courage removal. And now I believe we're seeing maybe one of the weaknesses of him right here, right? Like, even if he had courage, that he was stunned. Witch Strike. Howlet does have courage, but he's stunned and he'll never get another turn. He dies. Okay. That was significantly worse. It didn't start off bad, but yeah, we just grouped up and then they all three got turns in a row on us and just AoE'd us to death. Howlet needs to live and then do damage back, and he can do that. We just got kind of obliterated right there. I need to go make sure, like, Reagan is casting something right here. I don't believe he's casting the thing I want him to. I want him casting Protecting Light of the Future, not whatever he did cast. So I want momentum, or I want leave this to me. That's good. And then he was casting Beach buff. Oh, he was casting the Vision card buff. Claim the Flag. Oh, okay. Let's turn that off. And then we need to turn Dragon's Bloodline off. That is already off. Okay, there we go. We fixed Reagan, I believe. So we'll see if that helps. For Snow, we need to turn off his longer range moves. I want you casting this, Snow. That's range 3. I believe he can target all the way out to the 3rd spot there, if I'm correct. But let's turn off his longer range ones, like Launch, for example. Ravage we can leave on. Frost Strike's good. All the rest of that is fine. Indomitable Hero, it was Launch was the problem. Let's turn that off. That way he will either use his Limit Break or give himself Courage and just close the distance. And then let's make sure Limit Break is turned on. It was turned off. Okay, so we'll want to turn Limit Break on. There we go. One more fight. Let's go again. Here's a strike team. Okay. No, it's not a strike team. It's actually a mixed team. I don't know. I want to fight more of a standard looking meta team. Here's a ice team with A2 Fryevia. This is a fairly common team you see. A2 super strong. Fryevia a good partner for her. Let's see what we can do against this ice team. This will be our last match of the video, I think. I believe by this point we have tuned Snow to what we need him to be. I believe we are getting the buffs that we want to on him. He should be able to either double buff himself or single buff himself and then limit break. Man, this map doesn't feel great for him, does it? Or this map might feel better for him if you had a way of playing him on the sides, forcing him into his team. He's getting in range to attack on turn 2, and you want him getting in range to attack on turn 3, but you also don't want him getting wrecked before then. However, maybe if you can get his courage buff online and he survives the getting wrecked on the way in, self-heals back to full, and then unloads with his team, maybe that's a way that it works out for him. Or at least in theory, it's a way it could work out for him. Okay, last fight. Let's see how this goes. We got Reagan, we got Howlett. Reagan, there we go. There's the element resist buff. That's good. The ice resist does help us here, just like it helped us against the wind team. There's Reprieve, so he puts courage online. Okay, and in fact, the buff, the buff I guess he's been missing this whole time has been his AoE resist buff. And you're going to want that on. I think that might have contributed to us getting AoE'd to death by the enemy. But sometimes I'm talking, I don't pay attention to what's happening on the screen as well as I should. So at this point, both he and Reagan have courage online. Let's hope Fryevia does not get in his range. She does not. So there's the close call buff. And now Snow is in his final form. Laswell unable to do much damage to him. A2 not in range yet. Fryevia is going to move forward. She's going to limit break him. We'll skip the animation right here. Only 1,000 damage. It does debuff him and gives her haste. And then she should do okay against Howl the Heaven's Blade damage. This is the damage type that she typically mitigates well. Not in that case. He knocked her haste straight off. And here we go. The upgraded limit break. Sovereign Fist. We will get to see it. It does decent damage. It crucially does not stun A2, so that's nice for her, but it does stun Fryevia, and she's not going to get another turn. She'll die. Now it's A2. She's going to get to try her hand at Snow. She hits him pretty hard. Does not proc his heal. That's interesting, and he's going to get another turn at her. Ravage for 5,100. You like to see that. There's another buff from Howlett, Reagan, who's unable to get in range. Scrapper slash again. There's the heal. 12,000 heal. Snow can definitely take care of himself in terms of keeping himself alive, which is a good reason to maybe not run him with a healer. There's re-raise from A2. She'll lap everybody, get another turn, goes for the back line, finds a little bit of damage, but they did, I believe, just refresh their ice element resist buff, so that probably helped there. There's a win, and there is the video on Snow. So how do I feel about him? Let's put a bow on this video by just talking about our dude Snow again. I'm going to look at his stats in this team comp that we currently have for him, and then give him a ranking. Let's see. I think right now, and if you look, you can see he's like 12.6k, 1300 attack, good amount of unit resist and AoE resist, but that's more because of the vision cards and gear that we have than his kit. He's really selfish. He feels very playable to me, but I think if I had to give him a grade, I'd put him at like an 80 cost unit. I don't think he is aged super well, but if you're a fan of him and you want to play some mono ice teams, I feel like as long as I was smart with picking, this ice team I just built right here could win a whole lot of fights. It just, I think when I got to maybe the top 1,000 of arena and I start fighting like the most meta of meta teams, if that was my goal, I'd probably start running into a little bit of problems. Now, I do think we built this about as good as we can with these 3 units, so Yeah, there we go. I'll give him about an 80 cost ranking. Very playable. You just might want to find, maybe the best way to play him is build that like strike team and put 2 modern, like really OP strike units with him. Let him be selfish, cover for those, proc his self heals. But you know, I lack the OP strike vision card, so I can't do that on my account. So I was just kind of showing how you could play him here. There we go. All right. Thank y'all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this snow showcase / guide. Have a good one, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Peace.